Huh?
Oh, we don't have screen share.
All right, let's go ahead and take another trip here back into the fog. Going to be starting off on the nurse here, and it does look like we're going to be pretty quickly trying to make our way up towards our shack side of the map, see if we're able to find ourselves a survivor. It doesn't look like we're going to be able to find one right off rip. It doesn't look like we've got a pair of survivors already doubled up on a gen. If they are not pushed off of that thing with the ruin that is currently in play, that will be done relatively quickly, as we do see Lunez taking the first M1, trying to pull his aggro up towards the corrupt side. Unfortunately, though, vaulting right back into Orchid.
Yeah, Luna's taking the aggro here is going to backfire onto Petroleum here, but this is going to be such a great gen pressure for that first down here, and it's important, right? Because especially against the ST killers, you often see teams doubling up there. We do see the Deliverance player being here as well, not the one that is getting injured, so this perk will be available for you later into this trial. Next one coming out here onto Kopi. 3 survivors injured already. A very, very strong start for our nurse here, going for the tunnel out onto Lunas here, and if Orchid is able... Oh, this is a very, very nice one here. If this elimination will come out very, very soon here, since we perhaps look towards the second hook stage already, that would be a huge start for our killer.
Yeah, the only unfortunate thing, we did hear that loud sound notification there. That is going to be that ruin getting cleansed. That was helping Orchid a little bit there, because you had talked about the very strong start. At one point we had 3 survivors entered across the board, so of course a little bit of extra slowdown from that Thananophobia. 15% does cause at least one person to want to heal. Also, whenever they have to get off those gens, it was regressing currently. However, we are going to see not actually, was trying to see if they can catch somebody out of position. We've seen that fake with the kick work in the past. Not going to be kicking that generator over there. However, I don't know if we are able to find a survivor, and I feel like at this point I would rather make sure I get this 25% regression out, right?
Yeah, the pop kick can be really, really crucial, and we know how efficient these survivor teams are here, right? In Season 7, they are not wasting a single second getting the pressure down, so this is actually going to be interesting if this is not going to be too risky by the nurse, especially when we are going to see the rescue from the hook, because now your plan with the 3v1 scenario is not going to work out. At least it takes some additional seconds here, but this is a very, very quick down once again on to Lunas here. Our survivor is not having the longest trial here, so this is going to be Steve removed from the trial very early into the game. 4 generators still standing here. Our survivor team from Petroleum needs to find a serious way to counterplay this, and I do think a reset without having anyone in chase would be the right thing for now.
Yeah, bro, the homie Lunez right now only seeing 2 gens pop as they are getting sacrificed here. Probably hoping to see a 3rd gen popping relatively soon. And you had mentioned resetting would definitely be ideal, because one, it's going to help speed those gens back up or prevent the slowdown. I guess technically the same thing. We do hear this generator back here at Pride Rock has a whole bunch of progress. Going to be able to apply that pop kick, though, just in the nick of time. Now I'm going to be able to see if we can find these scratch marks, see which way they head, see which survivor happens to be over this way here. We see that we do have 1 survivor on a generator around that 35% marker or so. We do still have our 3 gen intact up here on our top side of the map as well. We also hear this generator, though, has a whole lot of progress, and this is now going to be a 3rd survivor entered. So if you look across the board, especially with the slug potential from the nurse, things could get spicy here.
And this is now going to be the snowball potential. We do have our injured survivors here, and they are not in the best spot, but it is going to be the E pressing Andy for a longer chase here. Really, really good timing on that, and super important for our survivor team to keep the chase up. And he's actually doing such a good job. Kopi is known in the community for his movement against the nurse. People often say they're trying to copy Kopi on the movement, but it doesn't work. But here Kopi, the one and only, really, really strong. However, this survivor here might need to take a note from Kopi and do learn a little bit about choosing this kill here. But really, really strong job. Really, really a lot of time being taken from our killer here. And that might be the time being taken from the killer the survivor team was really looking for.
Yeah, I am. I mean, we know that we had the one generator around 75%. I didn't happen to see, we clicked over, I think it was the Claudette who was not on a gen. Or maybe it was the Claudette, it was the Kopi, I guess, who wasn't on a gen. I'm not sure if they were working on one. If this is the only gen that still has a lot of progress, we could be in trouble here, especially seeing as we are over here with an injured Claudette now who is put on the ground, about to be put up on a hook. And this generator here gets that pop goes the weasel kick as well. So we're talking about 25% regression, going to be hooked up over here. So it's probably going to regress even more than that. I mean, hopefully we're at least able to get this one gen done. It just seems like every time our survivors start to get a little bit of progress in these gens, Orchid just seems to be able to bring that progress right back.
Now 5 stages so far into the game. The pressure from our killer is definitely working out. We do have a 3-gen on the top side here. The typical cold tower 3-gen, right, main and left side of the main building. Really, really something you can defend. There is going to be a generator lost in the distance though. I don't think our killer is worrying too much. He might lose the 4th objective here as well. But as long as he secures these hook stages on the top side, playing inside of his 3-gen, getting these Thanatophobia kicks, attacks onto these survivors, the pop kicks coming through. As long as he can play it how he's done it so far, he will still be in a good spot though. So our survivors still with the pressure on their shoulders here to get the unhook, go for a reset, and that is not going to be easy because our killer right now looks really, really like he's having a good plan.
Yeah, it does look like we're just going to be seeing a second stage forced here, which really means you need to be able to get at least a generator here. I understand you're wanting to try and commit to these gens, but you know, oh, now you got someone down on the ground. Hopefully Note wasn't stuck to the gens for too long here, because if that's the case, oh, where's Note? Oh no.
Yeah, this could be spicy now. They're rushing in with the sprint burst here. Is that going to be enough? That's the question though. They do go for the unhook, but the BT it is coming through. That has a good news for the survivors though. Note is staying fully, never mind. Castus goes immediately going through. This is the injury hopping into the locker here, getting the grab. Note allowing with that grab that the other survivor can run towards the bottom side. The perk Deliverance is in play here, so this has now some recover potential. The survivors immediately hopping on the generator here as well, not worrying too much, and I did call out the Deliverance there, but our survivor is already in the second stage, so this is actually then looking a little bit worse than I was hoping for our survivor team. Yet, with seeing how efficient they are hopping on this generator, they will at least get the 4th objective done here. But what's really needed is that they are going for a reset, and I feel like this hasn't been done in the trial so far and is now being punished.
Yeah, and this is tough because I think we had seen the Claudette rotating more back towards Shaq while we have this survivor here. Oh, this is the Claudette. I thought we had still seen another survivor back off in the distance, so it means it's going to be at least a little while till they're able to rotate now, yeah, over for the save. So by the time we get this unhook, we'll be able to rotate towards the top side of the map here and just push right back in and interrupt. Maybe they get a survivor reset like you'd mentioned, but I don't know if they even get the full reset here. And when you talk about still acquiring these pop kicks, putting them onto these generators, and they still tend to regress at least a little bit passively after the pop kick itself. I mean, Orchid just in so much control right now.
Yeah, the control is really important to mention here, right? Because what that caused in the trial here is that the survivors are constantly running after these hook stages that are coming in. They are trying to be efficient. They are going for these rescues. They do everything they need. The issue is they are not getting the time out of that besides performing these actions to work on the generators here. And this is what our killer has been done really, really strong here throughout the trial. He is constantly making sure that the survivors are busy with something else than the generators, and this is what we have seen all the way here. I do wonder though if we would have seen an entire pullback earlier in the trial going for that full reset at the bottom side. I do think it would have been beneficial. So perhaps the survivors here being a little bit too risky, but we talked about it going into this match here. Campfire chat, Nurse and Blight are killers that need the risk sometimes, but for now it is definitely Modern Retro keeping up the stronger performance here.
And we did see actually just a second ago here, Note was sticking a gen. Does look like they're going to go ahead and try and go for those very precious points. It is only 40 seconds worth of repair needed in order to get at least generator number 4, which is important because then at least you put your killer in the situation where they can play themselves into a 3-gen, right? Because right now, the survivors coming out of this next trial don't even need to worry about that. So you would really like to get this fourth. We see Orkin taking a look around here after the hook. The question is, are you going to be able to finish generator number 4 here? We see pushing into this corner, and that's not going to be the case. Overcommitment here, because now at this point, right on the tail is our Nurse, who is far away from the survivor.
And this is going to be now the chase. Still a very good chase by our survivor here, now taking the injury though, but they are doing a really, really strong job individually. What's just important to mention here is that our killer was here with the pressure ready to play, and it is going to be huge. The 4K on 2 generators still standing. That is going to be rough, right? Because you always want to push it down towards 4 gens done at least. So you can play with a 3-gen on your killer side and perhaps just go for the tie. This is the minimum. Now it's going to be the tie condition with 2 gens still standing. So a 3-gen is not in play yet. The survivors can kind of ignore it. And this is going to be even more pressure onto Petroleum's killer.
Yeah, so with this situation here, obviously the killer coming out in this next trial, they can't play it like any end game sort of build, right? You can't rely on that. The game's over by the time they get there.
Yeah.
And with that being the case, do you think you bring the risk of also bringing in a perk like Ruin that can disappear very quickly? Or do you think this is maybe where we see, we've seen situations in the past where people maybe sub that out for a Dying Light?
Yeah, I think this is the question, how confident you feel now to get this win of the first set here. If you feel really, really confident and say like, this pressure I'm not affected from, I can imagine a Dying Light Thanatophobia being played. If you do say, I need a perfect early game, so I've like getting the first down really, really quickly and having no gens being done, so I feel strong and confident because I need this dynamic for my gameplay, then I could imagine a Hex Ruin here. It would be high risk, high reward. So to guarantee a win, I feel like, or more guarantee a win, I feel like Thanatophobia Dying Light could be the play. If you do say it needs to be perfect from the start, I am ready to take a risk here. I can imagine a Ruin as well. It's really hard, right? I do think what the team is trying to do now is putting the killer in the best possible spot here and sending him out into Trial 2. And this Trial 2 is on the way for you in a few minutes.
All right, let's go ahead and take another trip here back into the fog, back on the cold tower, not to be confused with the cold shower. We're going to be hanging out with Osaka here, who we do see quickly pushing up into the corrupt side of the map. Up here on the top side, we do see, actually, I take that back, did a quick gander up there, and actually double peeking back, over here by our Pride Rock, finding an ace. So we do already have an early tag. And when we talk about the perks here, it does look like we took the risk of bringing in the Ruin. And you had talked about if you brought in the Ruin, you were hoping for the perfect start. And here we are, early hook. And we still have the Ruin. Not sure if the Ruin's been located just quite yet. Doesn't seem like it has. But if that's the case, this could be exactly what you're asking for.
This is the start you're looking for here in this very intense game with a high win condition of a 4K on 3 gens remaining if you want to win, 2 gens if you would like to go for the tie jukebox going down here. Perhaps the Deliverance survivor here, but what a start into this match. Second hook stage, 80 seconds into this trial here. Yeah, they are doubling up once again. We've seen that in trial number 1, but unlike Petroleum, they are not able to knock out the first generator here that quickly. That also shows the difference. Lunis was still able to drag the killer a little bit further away from the center of the map. This hook location here in the active generators in the center of the map is actually going to be way more punishing than the hook Lunis was thrown on in trial number 1.
Man, we see here, I mean, now at this point, we're 2 hook stages in, and we don't even have the corrupt off of the gens. Moving up over here, got 1 tag. Now anybody happening to be working on the gens is going to be slowed down by 15%. Nice dead hard here to be able to avoid the M1 at this point. We did also have that Deliverance across the way. You did call that. That's why we saw that dive bomb on hook number 1. That way it doesn't require a second person to move in for the save there. But 3 injured survivors across the way. You've got to start thinking if we're going to worry about the heals and the resets over these generators. But unfortunately, that will cause them to regress as well.
And this is now going to be Osaka here trying to keep the pressure up, and the stun coming through. This might be a very important one with the time and the distance that is taken here by our survivor. This is the second double blink that is not going to come through, and now he's rotating over towards the left side of this map. Not in time. The objective is getting done, but Hex Ruin still in the trial. So this offers in some potential here for our killer if he is able to interrupt these generators. We do see 1 generator is done, another one is just being started. This survivor team here though going for the resets, and if they pair that with finding Hex Ruin, that might be a huge potential though, but it needs to be removed from the trial very soon.
Yeah, the only problem right now we're looking down in that bottom left-hand corner. We do have all 4 survivors injured across the way. Now you've really got some decisions to make. Am I going to go and try and find this Ruin? Am I going to go and try and get the reset? Neither of those is going to help as far as with the progress on these generators. Plus, you've got Rocket now relaxing just for a moment. We do see, though, that Keeperly is going to be able to find the Ruin. That's going to be really big, especially seeing as we have hook number 2 onto Rocket, and we still have 3 injured survivors across the board here.
This is the one thing where we could also see the difference, right? Rocket is second stage right now, but we have not seen the elimination yet. Lunis unfortunately got removed really quickly from the trial. Osaka is not managing to get that done yet. Was he not kicking the generator? This is going to be the return towards the hook. You're trying to go for an incoming rescuer. This is going to be crucial for the survivor team though. Are they going even for this save, or are they trying to knock out these objectives? We do see some pressure over here in the last second pop kick. The 25% regression there onto this generator, and there's the rescuer moving in. It will be a trade though, but they are getting Rocket here, and this is the renewal coming in. So if Rocket is not going to be tunneled, that is going to be a huge move, and the killer is actually staying here. So keeping Rocket alive is going to work out.
Yeah, it's intriguing to see too, right? Because I mean, we've seen before, I shouldn't say they hadn't been this game, but we've seen plenty of times where you'll at least follow up the person with the same, mostly to see if they've got the borrowed time and force them end. but I feel like there really would have been necessary, because at least if it is the borrowed time still, nonetheless, if you get the men status now does not allow that renewal to kick in, that's going to be some pretty big value. That's less time that our survivors have to get off of these gens, and of course they don't even need but to complete 3 more, right? 2 more technically, I guess now.
Yeah, this is going to be 1 over here. This would be the win condition right now. The 4K is going to be needed for Osaka, but Jukebox is going to be coming from the hook. This is the tag onto Rocket here. This would be the survivor that would be removed from the trial, forcing the 3v1. If you ask me, too late into the trial. The other nurse in trial number 1 managed to do that way quicker here. So this is going to be the potential element that is coming into the decision later on. We do need another generator, then it would be the tie, and 2 more here for the survivor team of Modern Retro to spell the GG in set number 1. A double back coming through. Really nice job. Rocket escaping the whiff from the nurse here. Really good movement here by our survivor, and every single second that is expiring right now is going to benefit our survivor team.
Yeah, every little bit definitely counts here, even as we do see our ace getting tracked down by Osaka, making sure to corner up all the way onto the outskirts. Osaka understands what they're trying to do, doesn't want to take the extra time, instead wants to counter that time wasted by making someone else from the survivor squad now have to go over and pick them up off the ground. Unfortunately, there is going to be generator number 3 popping off in the distance up there at the cold tower itself. We do see Claudette out in the distance, dead hard. E to outplay, my friend, going to be able to stay vertical here for just a little bit longer.
Yeah, this is going to be the question, if there is going to be another objective here, or if it's going to stay in this tie condition for the first set. Still 4 survivors in the trial, yet the one thing that could make the difference between trial number 1 and this second one right here. The chase being taken towards the shack is another very important move by our survivors. This is going to be Ace once again with a really good movement here, going down now Rocket in this corner of the map here. But I wouldn't be surprised if the survivors are doubling up on a generator. Cross whip, and that is generator number 4. Modern Retro here taking set number 1, and now it's going to be important for Osaka to keep these survivors under control and go for a 4K here, because if you allow Modern Retro to take escapes on the cold tower against the nurse, that's going to make them so confident that it's going to be really hard to pick up.
Yeah, this is kind of that situation I was talking about, where if it's a big difference when we talk about our performances here, right? We talk about getting the 4K and a couple of gens up. If these survivors here are able to get some stages out the door, not sure if Osaka would be the one coming out to play Blight. I know I've seen them play Blight in the past, but especially if it's the same killer coming out back to back here, if the survivors take some stages out, not only is that building their confidence, but maybe even taking a little bit away from Osaka as well. We do see, though, Osaka able to get Shiro here down on the ground. Going to be rotating this survivor more towards the middle of our map here. That way, at least you can keep an eye on them while you still put a little bit of pressure across the map onto some of these generators. And we do see both survivors still injured here. So, I mean, maybe you could still either shut this down without having to worry about the gates.
Yeah, this is going to be a really interesting one, and I'm already hyped to see and really take an eye onto how is this mindset going to come out in set number 2 here, especially if the survivors manage to take the outs here. And we can see Osaka is really aware of that. He's trying to keep control over the objectives, trying to figure out where these survivors are. There's a huge potential to finish it right here. 2 survivors are injured. There's a huge snowball potential right here. Claudette barely missed here at the shack side. The unhook is coming through in the distance though, so we are aware of the survivor location options, but now the firecracker here as well. Such a good job. Modern Retro playing out of their minds right now.
Yeah, Modern Retro really just playing really well. Behavior moments, unfortunately, with the nurse facing the opposite way through the pallet on the stun. That is still going to be a down nonetheless as far as for Keeperly here. And that is going to be Keeperly's fresh hook as well. So they do have a little bit of hang time here while we do see the reset happening across the way. Of course, with the reset does mean no gen work getting done, but at least it's putting you in a position to be able to come in for a save, still be able to potentially fight through this, get this last generator done, and get some stages out the door.
Billy, the hooked survivor here, a fresh hook. So this is also 2 minutes of hang time, which you could put into the generators. Osaka returning back towards the hook here, trying to find the rescuers. I'm not entirely sure what the survival plan is going to be. One of them could just work on a generator. We see both of them kind of setting up for the save here. So wherever Osaka blinks, they are going to attack from the opposite side here. Really like the planning Modern Retro is doing right now to get this save done, but it will drop the pressure onto generator number 5 here. So Keeperly about to go into second stage. That's going to force the decision. Are you running in? Do you go for the save here? Entity summon coming through. So this is going to be the removal from the trial with the next hook stage onto Keeperly. Is this going to be a tag? Yes, it does. So this is going to be back onto injuring people across the board here, taking the advantage from Thanatophobia. Strong double blink here. The rescue on point with the timing in the distance, but for now, with how Osaka is playing it, I do see the chance for 4K.
Yeah, it's looking that way, definitely, especially with this here being an elimination on to Jukebox. You hit these. Oh, you do hit these just in time. So just as Keeperly gets healed, that is going to be a tag that puts them back into the injured state. Now we do have the injured, of course, onto Shiro. Shiro now down on the ground. The question is, what does Osaka decide to do here? Both of these survivors have been hooked once, so they're worth the same amount of stages, but we do see the Claudette off in the distance, gonna wait for a quick recharge of the blinks. We got 2 of them bangs available. We got the 1 blink swing and a miss with the dead hard to be able to create a little bit of distance, but that does mean that that is no longer available, and that is a down in the pallet space. And you know, even though you might not be walking out here with the dub as Osaka here, this is a 4K, and I think that's something, as I had mentioned earlier, wouldn't be surprised to see Osaka coming out on the Blight here for our squad. So if you're able to take this, even though it's not a W, maybe be able to bring a little bit of momentum into set number 2, right?
Yeah, here it comes down to the perspective, right? It's a loss by 2 points, just one objective. This can either be really motivating because you can say, we have just proven how close we are. We have just proven we can keep them under control. Or it can be really, really devastating by saying it was so close and we lost it by a generator. We lost it by 2 points. And this is going to be the task for Petroleum now, to really, really interpret this first set as a sign that they have an answer to Modern Retro, that it was close, that they have the right strategy, that they were able to read what the Survivor team was trying to do and have a good response to it. And if Petroleum manages to interpret set number 1 in that specific way, that they see this 2-point difference as a chance, as their potential strength for the second set, then I think you can send Osaka into set number 2 in a really, really strong way.
Yeah, because especially in this case, right, Osaka gets to be the one now to set the pace for his survivors, whereas in this case, it wasn't quite that way. And I mean, who knows, if the survivors had known that if they only needed to get one more generator done just for it to be a tie, maybe there's some things that they may have played differently than they did, right? So maybe with Osaka coming out here, maybe that is what they need. And I really do feel like I expect Osaka to come out here and put up. I mean, we saw a 4K here with the L. I expect us to see another 4K even with the Blight, honestly.
Yeah, Osaka is a very, very known Blight. He has a lot of experience on that killer, and he has been in difficult situations before. And as said, if they interpret these 2 points as a lost right, as a potential, and send him out in a good and motivated way, he will be able to pull that. I'm on your side, Q, with that. It's going to be a very interesting match coming up. Trial number 3 here for you, ladies and gentlemen, in a few minutes. And we are back for the third trial between Modern Retro and Petroleum. It is going to be Osaka coming out on the Blight here. Modern Retro once again on the survivor side, and after just taking set number 1 with a 2-point lead on the Coal Tower against the Nurse, they are going to feel confident here, but they can't feel too confident since it was only one objective being the difference here. Our killer is trying to get the first tag onto the survivors, but they are throwing these pallets really early, so a good start for our survivor team. Interesting to see though, there's going to be the dying light with the Thanatophobia, so this is making me feel like this is going to be a very confident Blight performance.
Yeah, I think it shows one, confidence in the fact that, hey, I don't need the extra potential protection of what a ruin can give me. Let me go ahead and earn my keep, right? Let me get my tags with my Thanatophobia. Let me get my stacks with my dying light. And then we are going to be seeing here shortly, as we get the unhooks, we still get the chance to earn the regression. Thanks to that pop goes the weasel. But when I look at that, not only does that show me confidence, Dyer, but I think the other thing that says to me is, even if I come out with a good game, I need a great game, and I need to make sure I can do everything that I can to slow down these survivors. Because just like the last set, a 4K with 1 gen still standing wasn't enough.
Yeah, it feels like our Blight is trying to wrap it up in set number 2, right? And setting himself and his team up into an either really, really strong performance, or it's going into set number 3. But Dying Light Thanatophobia, you mentioned it. It's not only a confident pick, it needs to be on point. It needs to be a really, really perfect performance here. And if you get that done, you will be in a wonderful spot here. So, it is going to be really, really intense here for our Blight, and therefore you do want to make sure that set number 2 is being taken here for Petroleum. But the first generator for Modern Retro is coming out there in the distance towards the bottom side, holding the bottleneck here to make sure that nobody is crossing. The question is, who's lurking there on the other side waiting to get in the back of our killer? And there was a beautiful rush onto the Nancy here, injuring this survivor. So this is going to be 10% slowdown now for the killer of Petroleum. So far we do see the confident performance we were expecting.
Yeah, now here too, we're gonna actually leave the chase that we were in and actually get a tag here now on to the ace. And now also gonna be doubling back over this way, getting ourselves the down, following back up on the survivor that did just get up off of the hook here. Going to get the hit here with the borrowed time, at least forces the mend, but I don't think Osaka wants to do just that. I think Osaka understands how much importance really is in this set point number 2, wanting to go for the tunnel out. We do see that the Claudette is in the pallet space. The question is, do we have any pallet save enjoyers? Even if they did, I don't know if Osaka was in the pallet space. That is actually going to be Keeperly going back up for hook number 2, and I don't know if you happen to notice down there in the bottom right hand corner, but also we're not going to be seeing any sort of deliverance value, because unfortunately our deliverance just was removed from the trial.
I have to say, I really like how Osaka is playing here. We were talking about how he's trying to wrap up set number 2 as quick as possible, right, to make sure his team is going to have a good performance for trial number 4 and going into that third set here. Meanwhile, the spectator bug is coming through. But when you are under pressure and set 2 needs to work out for your team, it is impressive to come out with Dying Light, Thanatophobia, and throw a lot into the game here. Ace dropping the pallet early, making sure that the hit is not coming through too quickly. We see a generator being on 50% here. The tag onto Ace now as well, though. Rocket trying to go as far away as possible. Osaka rotating back towards the objectives here at the main side, wants to keep his 3-gen. This beautiful triangle he could make work for the rest of the trial. A very nice rush into the main building, and the second survivor being injured here. Now our survivor team from Modern Retro needs to watch out that they are not going down in this 3-gen here, because if Osaka manages to play out this map environment here, that would be really, really huge for them.
Yeah, and this is, I mean, you talk about right now having some extra built-in slowdown, 2 stacks on that Dying Light, which to be fair isn't much, but you top that with the 10% slowdown of the Thanatophobia right now. This is part of the reason that we're seeing only 2 generators being complete thus far, and it looks like Osaka wanting to compound down some extra pressure right now in the trial. Go ahead and leaving our survivor jukebox slugged all the way in the corner, especially big because now that we're in chase with Nancy, it will require our ace to have to go all the way over there to retrieve that survivor. It means they're not on a gen. It means that we're not worrying about as far as their progress, although now maybe breaking away from our chase on the bottom side of the map. Not sure if he had maybe seen anything that led him to believe that the ace was back this way, or if they're just simply coming over to check in on the slug. But here is the ace, 2 injured survivors still left in the trial. This is not the situation I envy the survivors at all.
Yeah, this is going, oh, this is now the double slug coming through here, and I wouldn't even be surprised if Osaka would go straight ahead for the third survivor, but he is keeping it safe, and this is another thing I like, not becoming too risky and not over. I would have gone for the third survivor now. I mean, I would have never achieved what he just achieved, but if I would ever be in this position, I would feel super confident and go for the third survivor there. And I really like that he doesn't do that, that he's staying calm, collected, says this is what I have for the moment, this is what I'm going to work with, let's apply the pop kick here, and then we can look for this survivor here. So really making sure that the performance is on point for set number 2 here for Petroleum, and I think he is playing a really, really good trial so far. And if he actually manages to find Nancy here with 3 generators still standing, that is going to be one hell of a recovery story by Petroleum.
Yeah, it'd be a really good start to the comeback here, and then it'll be really up to one, of course, the survivors to come out and finish the deed in set number 2. But then we'll get to see these 2 teams both try and pump the brakes a little bit moving into the Executioner set. But of course, we don't want to get ahead of ourselves just quite yet. We do see that we're about halfway, more than halfway through our bleed out timer here on the jukebox who we just found, so that's not as big of a deal really anymore. But we do see Shiro is fresh hook, so if Shiro can stay alive here, that could still be a very big point swing, whether that be a hatch or a gate escape.
Yeah, this fresh hook is always a chance, right? It's a 10-point swing, in fact. 7 denied points from the killer, 3 earned points for the escape. So a 10-point swing possible once Jukebox is dead. It will be some time though, because Jukebox is not allowed to go for the escape attempt, except the survivor would have deliverance, which is not going to be the case here. So it's 60 seconds guaranteed hang time, and then 2 missed skill checks, and that's also going to be the question, how is the RNG placing those? But that means Shiro needs at least 40-50 additional seconds staying hidden here, and then is going to be the question, how are you going to play here? At the top side we don't see a wake up on this player, so this is going to be a difficult end game. Osaka trying to scout the area from the mid map, trying to find a survivor, and so far Shiro is doing a good job, but I also, especially with 3 gens still standing, I don't want to imagine the pressure that's on the shoulders of this remaining survivor right now.
Yeah, and especially because I mean you can see Osaka's already setting up for this hatch here, right? So I don't think the hatch is going to be an option, which means maybe you try and set yourself up for like a 20% on the door, wait for them to go across the map, come back, check in on it, and then full send it the rest of the way. I'm not sure. I mean, we see that the RNG isn't the best, right? They could have, you know, if it was really going in Modern Retro's way, maybe we've gotten a door that went a little bit further up towards this other side of the map, but it's going to be a close one.
Now they're going for this exit gate here. At the shack side after the Blight left, maybe a little bit too late there. They are going 50%, 60% now on the exit gate. Osaka not there yet. He is on the main building, checking there once again. This is going to be the exit gate being opened on the shack side. Shiro pulling a 10-point swing last second into this trial here, and that is actually making a huge difference when we are taking out the score here. A 10-point swing, Q. That equals 5 generators being completed, so that perhaps is going to push the win condition into outing the killer of Modern Retro.
That is heartbreaking. Such a tough fought game. Osaka did so well keeping the pressure from the word go. Unfortunately, just spending a little bit too much time on that top side. And we had talked about it. If that out went out, you talked about the 10-point swing. That's huge. Now going to be forcing stages here. Oh man, what does right now? First off, I wouldn't be surprised if we see a timeout here because I feel like you might want to take a second after there because I feel like Osaka's probably gonna be coming out here on the survivors, and the survivors are gonna need to take a second to kind of pick up the killer here, right? Because the killer was probably flying high, was sitting here, man, I'm gonna have a 4K, only 2 gens complete, feeling good. Now we need to get outs. That's what does this conversation even look like right now?
Yeah, it pushes the score from a 28-4 to a 21-7. So the point difference we are talking about here, and this is now midnight math, 14 points. 14 points is the difference. So if we assume they would get a 4K on all gens, then it would be a 28-10. So that means there would be 18 points difference. So, and I don't think that's going to be enough, right?
No, we're talking about needing to get like 2 or 3 stages out, right? Making sure you're depriving points plus getting those points yourself.
Yeah, if I'm not absolutely existing, the win condition are some outs, but we are better going to verify that with our scorekeepers because it is 53 minutes after midnight, so quick spontaneous math is definitely not going to be my thing anymore. So we are going to catch you with the win condition and some mathematical simulations at the start of trial number 4, which is going to be here after a break.
All right, let's go ahead and take another trip on back into the fog here, back on the suffocation pit. And we had kind of talked about it, that the out at the end made it from you only needed 3 gens to where we did the math to make sure we were right. You need 2 stages out the door now. This is huge, especially since as we have already found Lunez already, and I'll tell you what, Luna is having a bad day if he's the first one found and put up on a hook again. Remember, he was removed in 3 consecutive hooks in trial number 1.
Yeah, Luna seems to be the very unlucky survivor here in the trial, but he does make a very nice move around this tile here, staying alive, taking quite some time from the killer. It will also take a little bit until the 5 tokens are back up here, and he will reach this filler pallet here in the midsection, not going to play anything risky, going for the vault here, and it's going down unfortunately, but this was a good run. 70 seconds of time have been taken from the killer, and he's dying towards the corrupted area. Not all the way towards that main side, but enough time once again to get this first generator out with a double up. If there's one thing we can say about Petroleum's early game, then that they are guaranteeing one generator against the ST killers.
Yeah, we are going to be seeing here. I mean, Peps making very quick work. Going to be able to put Note onto the ground. Going to be trying to follow up Lunez as well. Yo, leave my mans alone, man. He got tunneled in the first trial, dude. Now going to be seeing the borrowed time hit onto Lunez. Lunez not going to be allowed any sort of breathing room. Going to be continuing this tunnel out process, which will require an additional survivor to need to come over and pick Note up. Gets done, stupid. Does say Lunez moving through our short wall jungle gym. Not going to be able to get across the pallet. That is going to be another down.
That was a really, really beautiful down, actually. How he worked around this jungle gym and the corners there was really, really impressive. It is going... Oh, in the distance, Cure! Is that a D strike?
Slapped him with the D! And that is going to be big. He says, drop it. Extends this chase. We have 2 gens done. We had taken in a look. I think we saw 1 gen a little bit past that 50%. This might be what our survivors needed to get some stages out the door.
Yeah, I was just about to say, like, Q, we had a DS, actually. This is your moment. But really, really well done here by Lunis and friends here, taking time from the killer even longer. We are now way more than 2 minutes into this trial. 2 generators have been completed. The elimination plan into the 3v1 is completely denied by the fact that Note is now in chase, the survivor that rescued earlier. So downing this survivor also risks the deliverance being in use, so that allows 3 survivors staying on the generators here. So it's not looking too good for Peps here, and we talked about it. 2 outs are needed, or 2 stages out of the door are needed, and the survivors are really, really working for that.
Yeah, right now they are absolutely cranking when it comes to these gens. We are going to be seeing Note trying to do the best that they can to prolong this process, going all the way to the corner. We see 1 generator is going to be able to get complete. I'm not sure if we happen to have a 5th gen off anywhere that's kind of close to completion here, but, you know, I mean, Peps... We've already uncovered the entirety of the build, I do believe, as far as to the survivors, so they should know at this point they don't have to worry about any sort of end game build. So all they have to do is get this last gen done, and they've got plenty stages left. They should be able to get the 2 they need out the door.
Yeah. This is now the deliverance we talked about. Note putting the pressure back onto the killer here. Now we do see the work around the main building, not getting the survivor down either. So now things are not really working for you. 2 stages with 4 generators being completed is going to make it more and more difficult.
Yeah, now we see still trying to take this chase back on the backside of main here. Pep's not going to be able to find a connection. This is big because we only need 1 more generator done. You can guarantee we've got at least 1 of these 3 survivors, or 2 of these 3 survivors, I should say, paired up, trying to crank that thing here. Nice job moving into the locker to be able to avoid the M1. Not going to be able to get too much further, unfortunately. And yeah, I gotta agree with this decision from Peps here. I don't think you can take the time to hook this survivor. I think right now you've got to try and build up a little bit of potential snowball here, but with all 3 survivors being fully healthy, I don't know how much that possibility is.
Yeah, it is going to be you need the end game you never played before, right? It's so much work to be done in this end game, and this generator is attacked in the midsection, and it is really close to the completion. So this pop kick is going to be more important than ever before in these trials. But the question is, how long can you keep that generator under control? Because Lunas is going to hop straight back onto this objective. It is going to be Clover taking a hit though. Lightskin is getting a reset though. So you're not making really an exchange. It's just going to be a different survivor that is going to be injured now. And you can see the decision making, right? Looking towards the mid generator all the time, knowing that there is the risk that this one is being completed. This is one tag onto Lightskin. Are they going to commit to it? No, they're not taking the risk here, and I think that's a very smart decision.
Yeah, and might as well not give too much over, right? You don't mind giving the one tag, takes a little bit of time, but you don't want to give up the down here. You can always reset. If you happen to move over towards the shack side, it is going to pull Peps away from those gens. And with 4 survivors still being in play, can't really spend too much time committing one way or the other unless it is to an area right next to a gen. We do see the tag here on the Lunas. That does still mean 3 injured survivors across the way, 15% slowdown onto the Thanatophobia. We also saw, I thought it was Lunas had possibly used the locker. I'm not sure if maybe, we did actually know that. We just come back for a dry kick. I don't know if, I mean, I'm not sure how much value that dry kick's buying you versus just grabbing that person out of the locker, right?
Yeah, I'm trying to think about what our killer can do here for this end game, but it is really, really difficult because the survivor team has set themselves up for such a strong end game. I will say it's impressive how long Peps is fighting for this last generator here, how long he keeps that under control, because with everything the survivor team has been done, from the good early chase by Lunas to the deliverance to the gen pressure they have applied, that didn't look like generator number 5 would be such a struggle, and that is because Peps is still pulling up a really, really good performance here against the pressure that is standing against him here. They are back on this mid section of the map though. Claudette is going to take a hit here, 2 of them injured, 2 of them healthy. The question is, where do you commit? How long does it take? Do you perhaps make a mistake on overcommitting to a chase? Things are so close together here, and whoever makes the next mistake could lose the entire set.
Yeah, and here we do see moving into the middle. That's actually going to be Lunas now moving back towards our shack side. Lunas now going down in the Cannell. I don't know if that's going to be enough here. Pep's going to actually, go ahead and leave the slug. Not even worried about a hook right now. Going to go ahead and go for the dry kick. You can hear this generator in the middle. That thing's a rocking, just about ready to get to pop. And we're talking about maybe 5, 7, at the most 10 seconds worth of repair needing to be done. Not even 10 seconds, definitely not with the way that thing sounded, unless it gets progressed back a bit. And we see, I mean, getting the pick up, the heals. I mean, right now our survivors just really fighting all the way. And this is another generator that's even just as far, if not creeping up to be a little further here. So it's just a matter of time before we see generator number 5.
Yeah, the time is ticking down, and I feel like this is one of the first times where a little bit of a longer trial could benefit. Yeah, there we go. Generator number 5. Q ordered, Q gets the delivery. This is going to be the end game with 3 stages so far. That means 9 stages are needed to go for the 4K here. At least 7 to push it into the tie. And how do you go for 7 stages in an end game? We have no way out, no one escapes death, and not that many injuries, only 2 of them. Claudette is going down, that is nice, that is going to be a few points, but that is not going to be enough at all to go for the win condition here. Lunas is celebrating the set win already, saying goodbye to the Blight, and there they are leaving out of the door. 1, 2, 3 survivors here, leaving the trial on the suffocation pit. And I will say suffocation pit Blight is one of the most difficult things to fight in competitive DBD. We often see 4Ks on this map, so pulling this performance after you have been down 1-0 is one hell of a comeback.
Yeah, you love to see the fight here, right? And then especially when you're talking about, I mean, Peps is definitely a name that we know, especially on the NA side of the comp scene, to have a lot of experience, not just like as far as like a good killer pool, but specifically on the Blight. That's part of the reason you had mentioned how long we had been sitting there waiting for the last gen to pop while Peps was fighting through all that, and through all of that, still able to get those stages. Absolutely phenomenal work by our survivors there.
They did a really good job. And now we will actually see set number 3. It is going to happen. So we talked about it, right? Teams need to slow it down now. The Executioner is going to require a different strategy. I wouldn't be surprised if we see a timeout being called. We do see the invitation coming through. So it might also be that the teams are trying to just push through it and be like, okay, we are confident now. We are going to have the brush in. I have to say how Petroleum just played this Blight set. I think they're going to be the favorite for set number 3.
Yeah, I think with the way that they performed in that last set and being able to kind of, you mentioned, right, to be able to come out in that fashion, more importantly, after being behind the 8 ball, being down 0-1, so much momentum. So it's really, man, I feel like momentum's so much on their side here. I can't wait to see as far as not only if they can continue that through here, but also if Mono Retro is going to be able to respond as well. So we are going to be moving into set number 3, the Pyramid Head on Groaning Storehouse after a very quick break.
Welcome in, everybody, to trial number 5, Groaning Storehouse Executioner. After a little bit of a longer break here, since Petroleum did call for, I want to say, a predicted timeout here. They have sorted themselves and they want to make sure that set number 3 is with a perfect strategy. Jukebox, Modern Retro's killer, is getting into the first chase here, and this is going to be a very important one. The early game against an Executioner, same as any other M1 killer, is going to be crucial. And once again is Lunas. Lunas, can you stop being the first chase survivor every trial?
Bruh, let's be honest. We have all been there once or twice when we're gaming with the homies, and it's like every time you're like, come on, man, just find someone else. And unfortunately, it looks like Lunas has found that position, getting caught in the animation of dropping the pallet. That's going to be a down here around the 60-second marker here, and we are going to see, even though we have the torment status on Lunas, not going to go for the cage early. I like that play. That way, if you happen to double back on the unhook, then you can play around. Maybe you go for the cage at that point. Don't have to worry about the any sort of like second chance perks or anything like that, right? Plus, you've kind of got this on the edge of what I would say is your uncorrupted at map, right? So you can still kind of put pressure on a couple of gens here. We did see as well when we started taking a couple of steps the one way, the generator getting covered from that dead man switch. Oh.
Yeah, it's a very good start for you as killer here. This is going to be the BT, and the elimination and the tunnel will come through. This is going to be, oh, a nice dodge by Lunas here, last second around the corner, now making it over towards the main building here and doing a good job. This is the vault, and a miss coming out with the M2 there. Might be that the distance was too large between the killer and our survivor. Pre-dropping a pallet over there, helping out the teammate. Now Petroleum working together to keep Lunas alive, and this tunnel out here is taking way longer than Jukebox is planning, I think.
Yeah, especially since you were able to get the M2 that also injured Claudette, right? So Claudette couldn't stay around and continue to be a nuisance. This has literally just been Lunas serving up the juice here, and nice play here. Gets stunned, stupid, able to drop plus 10 wood across the face here. Now going to be gumping it over to the corner. Does look like we have a little bit of a jungle here that we can at least play around one pallet. Oh, was trying to move to the other pallet space, not going to be getting it down. You're in the pallet space, but you are unfortunately afflicted there. So we are going to be seeing the cage coming out as we see gen number 2 popping.
2 generators here showing us the good efficiency by Team Petroleum. Lunas in a cage now. That is going to be very beneficial for our killer. Rotating over towards this generator here at the locks. We can see a survivor left really early, so good communication, coordination there on this survivor team. Looking onto the generator spread, it's also going to be tough later on in this trial here. They have made sure that around the shack area they removed the mid generator that can be chained into multiple setups. Next chase is going to happen at the main building here. 4 generators completed already. Petroleum taking over before Lunas is even going to die here. Now Jukebox using this hill to get information about these survivors. I'm not entirely sure if Lunas is going to be rescued in time, but the trade with 4 generators being completed is definitely worth it.
Yeah, especially when we look at our gen spread here, right? We do see even just at the deep 6, we do have this gen. I think we also have in our other deep section over there. Yeah, we also have that generator. So our survivors have really set themselves up for success, really setting up for the late game here. And especially when we talk about moving towards the end game, right? We're not, you'll notice down in the bottom right-hand corner, right now we only have one fresh hook, which means with no NOED in play, we only are buying ourselves right now 24 additional seconds. You would really like to get it down onto at least the Lori and maybe one more possibly before that drop. Oh, get the M2 through the balance landing.
That was a very beautiful M2 there. I did not see that hit, but that was a very, very good one, predicting the survivor would jump from the hill there. And there's a survivor close by as well, so the next survivor already in chase, which would force a light skin to make a move here in case Nancy will not be able to, and that's going to be the case. Nancy also catching the trail of Torment, so this is going to be some work or some potential later for our killer here. Jukebox rotating towards the mid-map, trying to find the survivor that is working on the generator over there. 60% of progress so far. So Petroleum doing everything that's needed to go for that end game node in a generator. It's getting late. In a locker.
I feel you.
This is going to be a 90% on this generator here so far, and given the generator location compared to the killer, it's going to be tricky, but they are just caught in time here next to the cage. Things are starting to get very chaotic here.
But wait, isn't the cage is done, right? Was that a visual? That's okay. Anyways, we do see here at this point a fresh hook is going to come out. This is kind of what I was talking about earlier, right? Like you talk about was wanting to get at least that third fresh hook before the end game. Right now, if you can find Note before this 4th gen pops, can really be setting yourself up, because it does look like the one generator that we're back by. I feel like even if this survivor hangs for a while, and with the amount of progress on it, it's eventually going to pop. So if you can get this 4th fresh hook, would be so much value for you.
And Lightskin is potentially up for a trade here. No, they're actually going for this unhook here, not knocking out the generator in exchange for an additional hook stage. So pallet being dropped early here as well, and it is indeed a spectator bug here with that cage that really
Get the
threw me
homie
off
off the cage. He's
earlier.
right
Yeah,
there.
save him, guys. What is this team play? Like, for real. But the chase is being taken away from this area here around the locks, and we can see Jukebox feels the pressure, knows about the 5th generator being attacked by the survivor team already, is going cross map behind the shack, once again checking on these generators, making sure that they're not coming out too early, and he is proving good game sense. Lori was over here, Momo was attacking this generator, and even though they're leaving very early, it's not going to be in time. They are going down here, so this is the next survivor going on to a hook, but the last generator is coming through. 6 stages into endgame with 3 stacks, no way out. 48 seconds here. Hope unfortunately hooked right now, so this is not going to give you a benefit. But this is going to be interesting, because Jukebox has quite some pressure now, and with 48 additional seconds, he might add a few stages to his performance.
Yeah, especially because it doesn't even look like they've procced it yet, right? So we're talking about still having a little bit of time left. Oh, and got the heal in there, I think, from the inner healing. That's going to be big. That's one less thing that our survivors have to worry about here, especially as we do see the unhook now coming in. We do see Jukebox finding some scratch marks moving around our main building. I do believe this is the Lori here that we're now going to be continuing this chase with. Back around, Jukebox trying to go for the shot at the window, not going to be able to find any sort of connection. We did have that sound notification about 24 seconds ago, so we're about halfway through. There's going to be a grab out of the locker. That's Note. This is not who you want being found right now. This is the fresh hook. This is the survivor that is worth the most points to Jukebox right now.
Yeah, we had a 10-point swing earlier, and this might be another one right here. A fresh hook, so important in the end game. This is going to be pure celebration, and you might not even leave node, right? Because having this fresh hook here is going to add 9, it's going to bring you up to 9 stages here, which is a really impressive PH performance on the Groaning Storehouse, a large map that offers survivors quite some counterplay here. So you might just take those 9 stages, but we can see the survivors attacking the door close by. This is going to be the potential setting up for an outing here, and we do see Lightskin in the main building with this sprint burst rushing in, getting the unhook, and if they manage to have all 3 survivors out the door here, then this is actually going to be a really, really huge turnaround.
Yeah, that's really big here. We see Jukebox trying to move back to our main building, try and see if we can locate somewhere. Lori has now opened up one of our doors. We see Jukebox moving back towards our shack, trying to prevent the hatch play here. We do see trying to at least zone towards the one side. There's at least the 2 out. Now the question is, which way does our Claudette go? We see you've been able to build some distance here. Now moving around the Pride Rock. Unfortunately doesn't have enough distance though. This will just be, unless you can make something happen around the pallet, not going to be the case though. And there is the M1 coming out there at this point on to Lightskin.
Yeah, this is really important for our killer here. I was really worried for a second because the survivors were really, really looking with a good plan there in the end game, ready to get these stages out of the door, and this survivor is still not rescued from the cage. I don't know what this team chemistry is there.
Bro, they just left
really yeah, they really need to pick up on the team chemistry there. That's something we have to take from this driver. Jokes aside, Lightskin dying here into 9 stages is a really, really important thing. Because 9 stages as an executioner on a large map like Groaning Storehouse, that is something we don't see that often. And going into set number 3 with a high win condition like that, you need 10 stages for Petroleum here to pull the win in trial number 6. That is not going to be the easiest task here, and I do think Modern Retro, after they won set number 1, is kind of picking up the confidence again.
Yeah, I think we saw that Petroleum definitely was feeling good a little bit there after set number 2, but man, it seems like Modern Retro really just wanting to reel this thing back in, wanting to make sure that they are walking out of this matchup today with the W. Talked about setting the benchmarker high score right now, 22-13. So will Petroleum be able to step up to the plate? Not sure who's going to be coming out for them as far as the Executioner. We'll find out. You'll find out. We'll be bringing trial number 6 to y'all after a very quick break. All right, and it all comes down to this. One of these 2 teams is going to be walking away from this trial here with their first, I guess, series win of season number 7 here for DBDLeague. We do see Momo out on the Executioner. We are on the Groaning Storehouse. We have found Keeperly very, very early, which is good, quite honestly, because right now you're looking at needing 10 stages to get the dub.
This is now going to be a very important first chase here with the 10 stages in mind. We do need this down really quickly into the trial. We are 40 seconds in so far. There would be half a generator on the individually worked objectives, and we're deep in corrupt here, Q, so that gives our survivor team the chance to really get the pressure down here. 60 seconds into the trial now with the hook time and going for these generators. He might lose at least 1 generator here. They're even doubling up on it.
Yeah, we do see that there are, and this is a big gen too. This is one of your more central gens. I am not sure if Momo is going to be able to get over here and interrupt this generator in time. It does look like we've at least got one of the survivors pushed off. We're gonna have to keep an eye. Yeah, there's the other one. We want to make sure we're keeping a very close eye. The Ruin would be able to buy us some very, very big value here, because that's gonna be 200% regression. And if we can control this mid part of the map while Corrupt is still up, oh no, going for the save. Don't do it.
They are going for it here, keepily trying to get away, but the sprint burst is not doing enough work. But I see a decisive strike there. Get ready for this!
Was built for this moment, baby. Let's go. And she slaps him with the D.
Imagine you would have missed now.
Oh, I know.
That would have been huge here. Get ready for a Mistius, but they are, of course, getting the decisive strike here and keeping the pressure up here onto the killer. They're dropping this early as well, not taking a risky chase, just working with the resources. Second generator coming out here, but a very beautiful M2 by our killer here. This is actually going to be a really, really close fight for any single second, trying to figure out, is the killer going to be quick enough with the hook stages, or are these survivors too quick on the generators? With Ruin being removed, that definitely cuts a huge potential pressure from the killer.
Yeah, especially because when we start looking around at our gens, we know that they had taken care of the one that was by the shack that was a little more central, but we do see both the deep 4 and deep 6 gens both there. The generator in the middle also there. So when we talk about having the middle building still being able to be worked around, you talk about those 2 deep gens. I mean, you can kind of, I guess, try and claim this 3 gen with the middle building, but it's not the cleanest of 3 gens, right?
It really isn't, and you can make it work, and you need a down after keepily though, because the issue is going to be that this survivor is going to die here, and our survivors are not going to care that much. So if you want to make the setup work, you need another really quick down, and you need a really, really good potential here to take over. Otherwise, this 3 gen might look really nice for you, like a beautiful triangle at the main building, but the question is, do you find a way to make it work for you? Now the elimination is coming through. It's going to be the 3v1 situation, which is always what you're looking for, but a 3rd generator is already completed. However, the survivor team is in the situation of only having 3 teammates alive at the moment, so this is going to cut down gen pressure tremendously. However, there's generator number 4 on the way. We need this down almost instantly.
Yeah, the only problem though is the only survivor that has not been healed is the survivor that is currently being tracked by Momo here, and that will allow for, you talked about how the game changes a little bit. Oh, once we move into the 3v1, we talk about it all the time. If we can get this down and also have this hook kind of in the middle of this 3 gen, would be very beneficial. We do see them finishing at least the further off gen, but that just more makes it so our killer here has no reason to leave the 3 gen, right? And that we're going to be seeing that spectator bug, and now going to be seeing that kick, at least as far as the dry kick on that main building.
The dry kick here is going to be a little bit of a chance for our killer, but it's not going to be as much work, or not doing as much work for you as you would really need right now. Now you would perhaps really wish you would have brought a Pop Goes the Weasel there, because that would have been a lot, and they are already on another generator over there. 50% mark already reached on objective number 5 here, so the clock is ticking. Momo under pressure. We need a lot more stages, and especially before going into the end game, but they are already here with the unhook doing a really, really strong job.
Yeah, I mean, you talk about that's going to cause Momo to come back over and check in on this. We know that we have a survivor across the way that is holding M1, doing the easy work, hitting some skill checks. We are going to be seeing Momo, though, doesn't want to commit too far from the 3 gen. I do think, though, that we have allowed just for a little bit too much time, especially since you had mentioned no Pop Goes the Weasel to be able to help as far as with the regression. And, you know, especially looking on it at this point, I mean, obviously it's, you know, hindsight's 2020. It's easy to look at here, but I almost feel like the Pop would have gotten us so much more value than we've been able to get out of that bamboozle.
This is now, I want to make a prediction, but I really can't. And this tells you how intense this trial is, right? When you don't have an idea, is it killer or survivor taking over here any second? When it's going to be a back and forth around the generator precious arena here. Waiting behind the tree, she is getting located though. That is going to be huge because Jukebox was planning to have a check on this generator by the killer. And then when the killer is leaving, hopping instantly back onto that objective. So this injury here is going to be really, really huge. Rocket is the healthy survivor here, going into a reset immediately. But this is now needed for the survivor team. They can't continue with the generator pressure. They need to go for a full reset here. Momo, is he able to go for the reset location though? Able to locate these survivors? He is not there. Going for a full reset across the team. That is actually a really huge move by our survivor team.
Yeah, it's really big here. And this is that patience that we had talked about heading into the matchup. If we were to see a set 3 that might be required in order to take home set number 3. So to see them really on the ball here, being able to set back and go, hey, you know what? It's fine if these gens regress. We anticipate Momo's probably going to be doing a little bit of the dry kicking, setting up and making sure they patrol the 3 gen. But we need to play our game. Let's get reset. And then from there, we will attack this as a unit. We do see Momo pushes a little bit up towards that deep 6. Doesn't want to do too much with it though. Actually continues a little bit more with this chase in the middle of the map. This does buy plenty of time for our survivors across the way to potentially get generator number 5.
Generator number 5 once again on the way here, 40% so far. Momo doing a really, really impressive job on keeping this generator under control. There's a survivor deep in the 2 of them, deep in the generator setup, and there's an injured survivor here as well. We are switching over towards Rocket, next in injury inflicted. So 2 of them constantly injured, we could say. This is something Momo really, really achieves here, gets the pressure down, making sure that the survivors are with the injury, need to heal and reset. What a juke by Rocket though. That was a really, really beautiful play here, and this is going to be rewarded with generator number 5. 4 stages into endgame, 6 stages missing for the win, and Rocket still on a run here. No way out, so there's not going to be a delay. This is actually going to be rough for Momo.
Yeah, we are going to be seeing Momo go ahead and instantly put Rocket into a cage, which unfortunately does appear right next to Jukebox here, which is going to allow another survivor to be put back into the field of play. Now our survivors can try to take some time, split up these doors. Remember, you only need to get a couple of stages out the door here. So, and especially it seems as we do currently have, I think that was 2 different survivors who are fresh hook. Yeah, that'd be right, because we have 5 stages currently. So, I mean, you've got some stages to surrender. As long as one of these stays fresh and you get somebody else out, no matter how many stages they have left on them, you're GG's. So.
Yeah, this is potentially the final seconds of this trial here. Modern Retro is going to attack these doors. They have every reason to feel really confident. Momo, though, did a really beautiful job on that region. We talked about it, right? It's nice to have one, but you need to make it work in your favor. And he did that. He kept generator number 5 under control for a long time. But Modern Retro was only handing out injuries, not downs. And this is where they really, really showed off. Now they can split onto the exit gates here. We see the pressure already coming through. The first light on this door is right there. And this is going to be a down with the no one escapes death. But there are 2 other survivors in this trial that can carry the stages out of the door. This down is not going to be enough on its own. The door being opened, this is going to be the 2-man escape for
That's all you need.
Team Modern Retro here. Really, really strong, and I do see if Jukebox is getting hooked.
Oh, I think I had miscounted. I thought we had an extra stage left. Yeah, what is that? It's gonna be looking at 8 stages, but you had 1 fresh out, so that makes up for the difference for the hook difference, right?
2 4, 7. Cute's way too late to call.
It's been a long day. I know. That's why. I mean, this is coming down to, we're talking about probably down to a point or two. That's just how close these two teams are fighting through here. I mean, that's talking about intense.
So the players are saying GG.
That's
So-
always a positive.
No, yeah, it is in fact not the tie. It's 36 for Modern Retro here and 32 for Petroleum. So there was indeed the one additional stage being taken out there.
Okay.
Don't mind this, guys. Q and me are really trying.
It's,
But yeah, it was
it's
one
late where you're at. I've been up since 5 for OC, or since 4 for OCE. Started at 5, so you know
and over here it's 2 a.m. Yeah,
Yeah, I was
we're
gonna say,
trying.
yeah.
But we were right then. That's a good thing. Modern Retro is taking the win here by that additional stage being
That was
taken
close,
out. And
though.
yeah, and what a match itself, right?
Yeah.
Modern Retro coming out on set 1 as a winner, then Petroleum, such a comeback in set number 2, and then in set number 3 it's flipping back towards Modern Retro. So overall a really great story of comeback and fighting all the way.
You know, it's funny when I look back at what, you know, we both kind of anticipated this to be a very close matchup, right? Heading into this series, looking back at Campfire Chat. And somehow we both managed to be right, but both also be wrong at the very same time. You said whoever won game 1 was going to win. I said it was going to go 3. However, you said it was going to be whoever won game 1, 1 and 2. So it's just kind of, it's crazy how that plays out. I think, and I know we talked about this at the end of the day in the past, where a lot of it shows like the parity that we have here in DBDLeague, right? Where it's just, it's every game you're going to be fighting tooth and nail, not only through the sets, but through the matches as well, for as far as the matchups in the series. So, I mean, you love to see Modern Retro being able to kind of get the monkey off the back, so to speak, as far as getting that first dub on the board.
Yeah, this is really important for them, and it is going to have an impact for the rest of the season, getting that also not only the win here, but also proving to your team you can fight, you can come back, even though set 2 is lost and you have a little valley in your performance, you can get back onto a peak here. And we would like to talk to Modern Retro about this match and how they are going for, or how they are taking this win today, what they had planned and what the strategies were in the match. It's going to be really interesting to hear about that. Therefore, we are having a player of Modern Retro ready for an interview here after a short break.
Hello. It feels amazing. We work very hard every week to, try to secure that win, and we've always fallen just a little bit short. I mean, we've done well versus all the teams, we think, but we haven't been able to bring that win, and we're just happy that we finally get to do that. Well, we know this team. We've scrimmed them, and we've played in tourneys with them multiple times, and so I think we just kind of have a mutual understanding and respect for each other, and we were just able to, each choose whatever killer we wanted. Like, they knew we had peps and wanted to play Blight really bad, and, we decided to, just make it a mutual thing, and it just kind of worked out, especially considering Nurse and Blight are probably the most popular killers in comp, so it just kind of worked out for that way. Okay, I'm gonna say this one time because I've gotten multiple questions from multiple people. Listen very carefully. Yeah. Jukebox mom, Jukebox dad, Jukebox sister are all 100% my family members. They're here as much as they possibly can. If they're not busy, they're watching my games and cheering me on and supporting me. I play in my basement on my computer, and when I go upstairs, if we won, they cheer, and if I lost, they give me a hug. It's really great having that support system. Well, I just want to say to everyone in chat that Modern Retro has been around for a little while now. We've had our ups and downs. We've won some, we've lost some. We're not the greatest team by any means, but anyone in chat who supports us, says go Modern Retro, messages me and says that they hope we win. I see you guys, and I thank you so much for all the support, because it really does help to see people genuinely excited to see my team play, because I think we've done a great job up to this point, and I really love the feedback from you guys, so thank you so much for supporting us.